Chat, y'all caught me smelling my fingers. Chill. Yo, listen, let me roll this weed up. I'm trying to get the 400 elo tonight, gang. Why my fucking glasses look crooked? Hold up. What's going on here? I don't like my appearance being thrown off these crooked looking glasses. I don't know why they look crooked right now. They're not crooked, right? No, they don't look. I don't think they're crooked. Right? I'm just bugging, right, chat? Alright, I think I am. I think I'm just bugging out. B. Fuck. Alright, let me roll this weed up. Let's listen to this show. Let me stop fucking around, right? Yeah, and about it. Give it to me, give it to me, give it to me. Yeah, and my body. Give it to me, give it to me. Yeah, let me roll this weed up and get a couple games in, you heard. I want to get to 400, dude. I done made my mind up tonight. I don't know why it's so fucking hard for me, bro. Yo, I gotta remember to do my Clash of Clans attacks tonight, bro. I cannot get caught up on this bitch too long. I'm in an intense war. No, I'm kidding, bro. I've been selling my clan for like the last like
Good
fucking
evening, everybody. You're
however long.
watching America First. My name is Nicholas J. Fuentes. We got a great show for you tonight. Very excited to be back here with you tonight on Friday. We have a lot to talk about. Guys, this is going to be a big show. The day has finally come. Full frontal attack on the Groypers. Well, not on the Groypers, on me. On Me and America First by Tucker Carlson.
We'll watch for now.
And this
while I
is a
roll
fight
up.
that's been a long time in the making. It's actually been years in the making. We're going to tell a long story tonight about how all this came about. But if you followed my Twitter, you saw the tweets today, you saw the clips. Today was Doomsday. Doomsday from Tucker and Candace Owens. And we're going to watch the clip. We're going to play the clip in full, which I normally don't do on the show. It's about 6 minutes, 5-6 minutes. We'll watch the excerpt where they launch their slander and accusations. And I'm going to make a systematic case. I'm going to break down piece by piece because this is really important stuff. I'm going to break it down piece by piece and make a case about what I think is going on here. Now, if you watch my show, you may already have heard a lot of this or some of this. Maybe you know where I'm going with this. But I'm going to break it down and I'm going to make a case about what I think Tucker Carlson is and why I think he's coming after me, why he's been coming after me. And as I said on Twitter, I'm going to bring all the receipts. I have a lot of documentation, a lot of quotes, a lot of information. And what I'd like to do at some point is to make a more high quality, high production quality version of this, where I piece it all together with the screenshots and videos. With a live stream, I can't really do that. I don't have a production assistant that does that kind of thing. So it's hard for me to bring in real time all the clips, screenshots, things like that. I'll cite everything with dates, sources, stuff like that. But in the future, I want to do something a little bit more in-depth where you could actually see and hear from the people that are involved themselves, from the different materials. But anyway, that is going to be our big show tonight. We're going to go pretty in detail on a lot of this stuff. It's going to be very thorough. And I don't normally do these deep dive shows. As you know, normally I do current events. I'll give my analysis about the day's events. We'll pull from an article or something like that. But tonight is a rare occasion, and I think it's very important. And I think that'll be clear by the end of the show why I'm doing this and why I want to spend a lot of time on it. I think it'll be very clear what's going on. Actually, I think last night's show would be a good companion. So if you missed last night's show, you may want to check it out. If you saw it, I think you're going to hear some similar themes. And it's crazy because I was preparing for this show tonight. I was actually pulling a lot of the sources, and it rhymes. A lot of the stuff that I talked about last night Last night we covered Canada's recognition of Palestine, which will be forthcoming next month at the General Assembly. And I talked about the big picture of what Israel's ambitions are with Palestine, with Iran, with the broader Middle East, and the strategic implications for the United States at large. Because that is the central question, is what happens the day after? Obviously, we're in this world historical moment ever since October 7th. Israel is on the move. Trump and the United States are a very critical part of that. Major changes are happening. That all-important region is undergoing a convulsion like we haven't seen in 50 years. Question is, what is the objective? What is Israel's endgame? What does the day after look like? And people have so much to say about it in America. We're going to try to discern their motivations in light of what America's strategic goal is in that region. Now, if none of this makes sense now, I think by the end of it, you'll see where I'm going with this. But that's going to be our show. In particular, we're going to respond to what I would consider the major allegation that Tucker has made. And this is one that I've been grappling with my entire career. At once, when I got started, I was called a racist, a Nazi, a sexist, all the usual things. And I would say that was one form of cancel culture. It came from the left. It was of the left. And the basis of the attack is that I was an extreme rightist. I was an extreme right-wing guy, a Nazi, a racist, a fascist, all the rest of it. And that was sort of the primary attack for many years. That was the main primary attack that defined me, I would say roughly from 2017 to 2022. But what I have been undergoing ever since around 2022 is a secondary form of attack, a secondary form of cancel culture. And I think that there was a self-conscious decision by my attackers, or maybe by a different faction attacking me. But I think there was a realization that that attack wasn't working. Screeching about racists and Nazis, it doesn't really work anymore. It doesn't have the same punch. So they switched it up. And by the way, much of the mainstream right had been moving further to the right, closer to many of my positions on immigration, as of late on Israel, on all the things I talk about, Christian nationalism. So the secondary attack is more subtle. And they say, we're not going to call him racist. We're not going to call him a Nazi. They say, we're going to call him illegitimate, a non-credible voice. They're not going to attack what I'm saying, the substance of what I'm saying, because the substance is winning people over. People watched my coverage of the Iran war, and they loved it, left, right, and center. People watch my analysis, my polemical statements about Gaza, and they say, I'm from the left, I hate this guy, I agree with him. So in some ways, in many ways, they realized attacking the substance isn't going to work. Saying you're too far right doesn't pack a punch. We've sort of exhausted that. There's this boy who cried wolf effect. What's more, the mainstream right is moving too far to the right. They're too proximate to me. So I can't really be attacked from the right in that vein anymore. And the arguments on a similar vein are becoming very compelling in light of recent events.
Motherfucker.
So instead they've pivoted, and now the thrust of it, although it takes different forms, is not credible. And so they focus on, for example, accusations that I'm involved with the federal government in some way, or foreign intelligence. They talk about how my show is funded. They talk about my interactions or lack thereof with law enforcement. And what's the point of this? It's to say you're not an authentic, sincere actor. So maybe you might agree with Nick Fuentes, but you can't like him. You can't watch him. You can't follow him, because although he says the right things and is credible,
I'm fucking up right now.
Although
God
he says the right
damn it.
things that you might agree with, he's not credible. He's not authentic. He's a Pied Piper of some sort. And this takes other forms too. Now, it is this genre, it is this species, this secondary kind of attack. This is how Tucker Carlson attacked me today. And many things were said.
Wow, this is going left.
Him, personal insults, all kinds of things. But the general thrust of the attack was to say this. Tucker said that I am, in his words, obviously a part of a concerted, intentional campaign to discredit anti-neocon voices on the right wing. Now, what is loaded up in that statement is that I'm inorganic. I am being put up to this by some organization, the government, left-wing partisan. But I am an astroturfed, inorganic voice put up by the left, by government, by some sort of organization.
Can I pull this out somehow, some way?
Of discrediting, by association, the authentic opponents,
don't think so.
Of neocon politics. That's how he characterized it, of the neocons. He said, and this is how he put it. We'll watch the clip and I'll react to it specifically, but just introducing it. He said, this is an artificial category he introduced. He said, you have crazy people and not crazy people. You have crazy, hateful people and not crazy, not hateful people. He said, and there are loads of not crazy, not hateful people like J.D. Vance, Joe Kent, Candace Owens, and himself that are opposing the neocons. He said that here comes Nick Fuentes, a crazy, hateful person who sounds like them and will damn them by associating with them, will embrace them, wrap my arms around them, and make them look
all right,
crazy.
calm resignation here. That's an L.
By association to sabotage them. That is the central claim. We're going to look at that. And maybe people are curious. I'm sure a lot of people tuning in have the same question or have thought that about me in the past. But we are going to break down piece by piece everything that he said. We'll watch the clip, and I'll provide the receipts. We'll look at his evidence for this because he qualified the statement. And his evidence was that I only attack the so-called real voices of America first, the real voices against the neocons, for no reason, randomly, exclusively. He said, and that alone has led him, obviously, beyond a shadow of a doubt, to the conclusion, without talking to me, watching my show, that I'm an inorganic, bad faith actor trying to sabotage the real opposition. I'm the
real bad man.
Okay, well, let's look at that. That's going to be our show. It's going to be controversial. It's going to be interesting. And I will be objective. We're going to go to the facts. We'll go to the receipts. And I will let you judge. I will try not to do any editorializing. I'm not going to try my best not to make personal attacks.
No.
I will present the timeline. I'll present the information. I will tell you my thought process. I'll explain my actions and where I was coming from on a lot of this stuff. And you be the judge. The truth fears no investigation. That's what I've always believed. And I will say one last thing before we dive right into it. The easiest way to find out what's going on, go to the source. So I would say before we even begin the discussion to Tucker Carlson, to anyone that knows him, share this with him. He will never see it because he claims to not have a TV or email or anything. So who knows if he'll see this, but if you know him, and if you see him, and if you'd be a friend, pass along this message. Clip this and pass along this message. Tucker, I'm ready. You are a journalist. You have made an accusation. You have asked a question. Now, Tucker says
give it to me, give it to me, give it to me.
He's never met me. We've never talked. And if there was any uncertainty before, I will dispel all ambiguity right now. I have never spoken to Tucker in my life. I don't know him. And yet he's making some pretty big claims about me for somebody who doesn't watch my show and doesn't know me and has no experience with me. And I would say if you would give the president of Iran a chance, if you would give Prime Minister Netanyahu a chance, he's offered to interview him.
Think here, no.
Ted Cruz, Candace Owens.
Oof.
If he's willing to debate Ben Shapiro, he called out Ray Epps, who is also accused of being a Fed involved in January 6th. Why not me? If I am the Pied Piper, as he claims, leading the disaffected young white men down a bad path, if I'm an inorganic actor, I'm a big boy. Ask me the tough questions. Interrogate me like you interrogated Ted Cruz. Get to the bottom of it. You are a journalist, after all. And if you're confident in your position, then one of two things will come to light. Either you will prove beyond a shadow of a doubt before the whole world, you will impeach my character and prove that I'm a bad faith actor. And the spell will be broken. And the true opponents
I think I'll
of
just
the
start off with
neocons will
here.
prevail. Or you will find, or the audience will find, that I am who I say I am. And they will learn why I have attacked J.D. Vance and Joe Kent and Tucker himself. Maybe we'll find the whole thing was a big misunderstanding. And maybe Tucker will apologize to me if he got it wrong. But you don't know until you have the conversation. I don't fear the tough questions. I don't fear sunlight, which is the best.
Dang, maybe I should have went
So,
here.
if you have the balls to gossip about me and make snarky personal attacks with Candace Owens, and you're both going to talk about me and about what happened and about other things, I think it's only right that I should be able to reply. I think it's only right that I should be able to face the accusation. I'm not asking for you to do a puff piece. I'm not asking for you to take it easy on me. I'm not asking for you to promote me or defend me. Be as tough as you want to be. Ask me anything. I'm here for it. I think that's reasonable. If you're able to say it when I'm not in the room, you should say it to my face.
I think my queen's cooked right here, actually.
It for a long time. I think that's reasonable. But with that being
I think my
said,
queen is cooked, so
before
I'm
we
going to
get
go
into
ahead and do...
all of the information, I want to remind you to
I'll go
smash the
here.
follow button on Rumble, smash the like button,
Yeah,
leave a comment,
here.
and give me your feedback. Let me know what you think about this show.
Here.
Wait until the end, but let me know what
Yeah,
you
my
think,
queen
because I
is
do want your thoughts. I want to
certainly
know,
cooked
because
here.
for me, this is a
So, yeah.
process of inquiry. I'm interested in the truth also. And if I'm wrong about Tucker, if I'm wrong about some of the things I'm going to say tonight, I want you to tell me, and I want to know. So leave a comment. Also, check out our hats. For
Damn,
those that,
cook my queen.
did
That's
not
crazy.
watch. Normally,
Fuck.
we do have our hats that are back on sale. We have our America First trucker
I'm
hats.
gonna do this.
Fuentes.store, $40, made in America, free shipping. If you want them, get them. I'm done with my MAGA hat, with everything that's going on, nuking Russia, burying the Epstein files, bombing Iran. I'm done with the MAGA hat. I have an America First hat. That's what I wear. Also, we have our America First archive website, which just launched on Monday. For $15, you can subscribe and you can watch my entire archive of content, 5,000 hours. It's $15 a month. It's at americafirst.plus. That is the name of the membership. That is the name of the website. In particular, if you want to fact check me, you can go back and watch the streams.
Let's
I
go,
will
pussy.
cite tonight
Now it's up.
a stream that I did in March 2022, where I predicted everything that I'm about to talk about now. And you can get that exclusively on the archive. I myself used the service to prepare for the show. And it was a stream about Joe Kent, who's a big subject of this controversy. So check it out, America.
Whoa! Oh my God! No, I meant to put it on E. Fuck!
Talk to me directly.
Holy shit! That's so annoying.
$100 a month.
I'm dumb as
Get in the group chat, ask
that
away.
was on accident, bro.
Pretty great value. Okay.
Fuck me.
That's the shilling. We got to get the shilling out of the way. We're going to dive in.
All right.
The first thing that I want to do is I actually want to watch unfiltered, uncut, what was said on Tucker Carlson's show. It's 5 minutes, so bear with me. I will do my best not to interrupt. We're just going to play it straight through because I want you to see the whole conversation. Nothing to hide here. I want you to see it. I want you to watch it. I want you to hear the context and the back and forth. I already have my notes. I took out the sections for analysis later on that I'm going to respond to, but I want you to watch the whole thing unfiltered right now. So this is from Tucker Carlson's show this afternoon. For context, I don't know when this was filmed. It was released today, but I don't know when this was recorded. It had to have been after America bombed Iran in the middle of June, and it had to have taken place, or I suppose it would have taken place after Candace dropped the interview at the beginning of July. So this was filmed sometime in July, I believe, but it was released this afternoon. This was Candace on Tucker. They talked about a lot of different things, but then they did about 15 or 20 minutes on me. This is from my updates channel. This is the 5-minute relevant part. We'll play this, we'll watch, then we'll react to it, okay? Here it is. Oh, hang on, I got to turn my desktop audio on. Here we go.
Attacking Joe Kent, who, I mean, Joe Kent worked as a CIA contractor, paramilitary contractor. He's in the U.S. military for years fighting our wars. His wife was killed in Syria in one of those wars. Joe Kent is the single most sincere critic, and I would say the one with the most credibility in the United States to say this foreign policy is bad. It killed my wife. I was a part of it. Joe Kent is actually someone the CIA doesn't like at all because he understands how it operates. And for Nick Fuentes, who's like some child from Chicago, to go after him specifically, one congressional seat in Washington State.
That's random.
It's not random, though. It's the opposite of random. Joe Kent was #1 on the list.
I actually made a mistake there.
Knock off people who believe in our neocon foreign policy. They wanted Joe Kent out because he could stand up and say, I actually know. I've got the receipts. My wife was killed in Syria.
There we go.
Had to take
Good checkmate. Easy checkmate.
Fuentes, this child, this weird little gay kid in his basement.
Easy checkmate. Come on, let's get to 400, bro.
Super PAC to bump off Joe Kent? Like, I've been around this my whole life. I know what that is. It's just an organized effort.
Yeah.
And he also did the thing.
Yeah, I hate Candace Owens sometimes, bro.
Including to me, which has been like,
yeah.
He's my friend. And everyone's like, oh, Tucker Carlson's been endorsed by David Duke. I've been making like the
let's get it, puss.
my whole life.
Let's get it.
I'm not for David Duke.
Don't fuck up my modern defense, bro. You'll get slowly checked just like the last guy.
I'm not for David Duke, but David Duke would try to discredit people
here we go.
by hugging them. And that's exactly what Fuentes did. He goes out there, meet all these people, say, hi, I'm Nick Fuentes. Can I get my picture with you? That's a campaign to destroy credible voices on the right.
We're gonna go here.
Fuentes is part of it. And I know I'm inviting by saying this because
this modern defense is low-key it, bro. I'm trying to tell y'all.
But it's just a fact.
Then you go bang, diddy bang. He ain't put no bishop out there yet. So I'm beating him to the punch.
I mean, there's no, so it's
I think go here. Oh, whoops. Go here.
Determine what his motives were. I said, you know what?
And maybe here.
I gave you a fair chance, gave you a fair shake, and you are a fundamentally dishonest
He
human
went
being.
back? What the fuck?
There's no reason to do it. If he had not done that show,
well, I'm just gonna keep moving.
His followers would have been like, "Oh, that was an interesting conversation between two people."
Because I want to get this fucking. I want to get the 400 ASAP.
He doesn't want to be. I can tell you.
So I think now I can kind of play a little freely.
Relations, and it did sort of feel, and I said that to him, that he's like responding to orders somewhere, because why are
I don't want him to kick my bishop out,
but
I'm gonna go there anyways.
He couldn't answer the question.
Exactly.
He couldn't answer the question. He was just like, well,
the fakest thing I've ever seen.
And I'm like, well, why do you hate Dave Smith over Joe Rogan? And it's like, well, Dave Smith is this kind of a Jew. And I'm like, okay, I don't either. You really are this immature and you haven't gotten further in your ideas, or you're just attacking people and making people think that these attacks are legitimate when they're really not. And we were so kind to him that I was just like, okay.
He's attacking Dave Smith because Dave Smith is effective and credible.
He's very effective.
Because he's smart, he's a decent person.
She be on niggas' dicks, bro. That shit is crazy. I would hate to have.
He has credibility and he has knowledge, and he's a marvelous debater, and once again a really good person. So you have to take out Dave Smith. You have to take out Joe Kent. Those are the good people. You have to take out J.D. Vance. He was against J.D. Vance. So if you're against like more pointless wars on behalf of foreign powers, like you're probably not going to be attacking J.D. Vance. And Vance was exactly the person he was attacking. So this. And the sad thing is, and I know that no one who watches him will believe me because they're desperate, because they are the victims of a system that hates him. It's young white men who've been totally cut out of our economy, attacked mercilessly, given, narcotics just go die. I mean, they really are the victims, and they're desperate. And
he
no
probably gonna go here.
He's like incredibly articulate, and they think he's our leader. But in one of the saddest ironies of all, like he's acting against your interests, actually. It's
Yeah.
It's really dark.
Yeah, I don't
Wow,
believe he
I
says.
didn't actually
I
go
no
there.
longer think that he believes what he
Maybe
says.
he didn't see it.
Like even the whole, I just say I'm a racist.
Maybe.
I know in part he says stuff to be entertaining, and that's fine. There's an element of it that is meant to be entertaining. But you got on a pod, a flight
Man,
to
he
come down onto a
definitely
podcast
got
and
me in
go
the
out, like,
spot
I don't think
here.
you're racist. I don't believe your ideas that women. It's like women need to shut up. It's like, okay, why are you on my podcast? Why are you saying that you want people to have you on their podcasts?
Wow. Okay.
There's a gap between what he says and how he acts, and for me, that's just worthy of dismissing. Full stop. Be authentic. I don't care who you are. Like, genuinely, I kind of like Taylor Lorenz because I know that she actually believes what she says.
Damn, I gotta trade out somewhere,
Okay,
huh?
so there you have it. We could even back it up. I think this cut out at the very beginning. We could play the very beginning part because I want to have it all out there.
It is real to her. COVID is real to her. This is not a performance.
There was like one little part at the beginning that just cut off.
I'm gonna go here.
And then we'll get into it.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was weird. It was
That's
totally
a
weird.
tender spot. Well, okay. Has it occurred to you that, and I just want to say, I haven't watched a lot of Nick Fuentes in my life at all. But what I've seen, the guy's very talented. Like, just as a well, let me just say this. As someone who's talked to cameras his whole life, it is very hard to sit and just like riff for 20 minutes. And I think it's an amazing skill, and he has that skill.
Go up here.
But I also have noticed that his targets are all people who are sincere, non-crazy, non-hateful opponents of neocon politics.
Right.
So you have to kind of wonder about that. So Nick Fuentes is like, oh, I don't like the neocons, but then his targets are J.D. Vance, Joe Kent, who he got involved in Joe Kent's campaign with a super. Oh yes, you, me, and it's like, what is that?
Dave Smith.
Dave
and I asked him about that because that's a question that I had. So I did the right thing by asking him to his face. What's up with this? Like, why do you attack Dave Smith? You say that like your biggest critique is that America's being controlled by Israel. Then you have Dave Smith, who has been such a sound voice. And by the way, opposite experience with Dave Smith. I have my podcast. He's a fantastic human being.
Dave Smith is one of the nicest people
Fantastic
ever.
human.
Yes.
And so I judge people according to my experiences with them. And so Nick is being judged according to my experience with him.
But like, what is this?
I don't get
Where
it.
does
I don't
the funding
understand
come
it.
from? I probably shouldn't even say this, but the only reason I know who he is because someone sent me a video a few years ago of him attacking me. And I was like, so I'm looking at this. And I'm like, well, first of all, this kid's really talented, like legit. And I can assess that just having done the job for so long. So I was like, wow, lots of talent, native talent. And he's
wasn't like the best
my dad
move, really.
As a CIA, his dad's in the CIA
Yeah, I
or
knew you'd
whatever.
see
And I'm
that.
like, well, that's untrue. And my father dies, and I learn, actually, was involved in that world. I was completely shocked by it. So no one has to believe me, but that's just a fact.
Right.
This was in March of this year. And I'm like, well, how the hell would this child from Chicago, my dad was 84 when he passed. Like, who's this guy know who my dad is? And like, he's in intelligence. How would he know that? And
Wait, so that was his critique of you? Because I didn't see it.
Someone just sent me this video and was like, you can't believe anything Carlson says because his father was in the CIA and he's a CIA, working on behalf of the CIA. Well, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious, and I actually feel emotional in my anger towards CIA. And I think that comes out on the air quite regularly.
Right.
And so the idea that I'm working for the CIA is like deranged.
Well, if it helps, he said I'm funded by Russia now. Since the interview, he then did a thing and said I was funded by Russia.
But you would be a lot more likely to take Russian money than I would be to work for the CIA, because you would never take Russian money, and you're not Russian. But I mean, I really hate the CIA. And I mean,
Right.
That's like very offensive to me. So why would you?
It's like personal for you.
Well, a little bit.
Yeah.
And anyway, like, who is this kid exactly?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's just an accident that the guy exclusively goes after people who are in roughly the same. And then he gets up there and he's like, making Holocaust jokes. And it's like, is it possible that this is like David Duke? And David Duke, every time I had a new show, David Duke would endorse my show. I don't know. Who the hell is David Duke? Well, David Duke is obviously part of a campaign to discredit people on the right, obviously. And I think it's very obvious that Nick Fuentes is exactly the same. Doesn't mean everything he says is false. It doesn't mean he's not talented. He's enormously talented. Doesn't mean he's a bad person. I'm not attacking him personally. But he is clearly part of a campaign.
Call them weird and gay. It's like people always do that. Like
right voices.
They contradict themselves in the same conversation.
I know when I see it.
Yeah,
this
and
weird little gay kid. I'm not attacking him personally.
Like I truly
Called him
like,
weird
we almost
and
said,
gay.
Like, we felt maybe he was a bit lonely. We should invite him back for dinner.
35 seconds
I
ago.
mean, that's how good of an experience I had.
Clearly it's
and then it was a 180. So it's either A, it's being driven from like a little boy insecurity, and he just was so worried that he like just went on the attack because he doesn't know how to have normal relations after being banned everywhere.
Well, I think there's that
could be one element.
The angry gay kid thing going on.
Yeah. Or it's what you're saying, where he does this, he's lying to everybody and pretending that things are one way when it's not. I can say
why is he attacking Joe Kent, who, I mean, Joe Kent worked as a CIA contractor, paramilitary contractor.
This is where the other clip began. Okay, so that's the whole thing. That's about, I think it was about 10 minutes. I'm going to go back to the screen. And I want to break down every major claim that was made in that clip. Now you've seen the whole thing and you sort of get the gist of it. And I'll lay it out at the very beginning so we can kind of organize this a little bit. So in the first place, we have some really easy stuff to get out of the way. Number one, Candace makes this claim. I really want to focus on what Tucker said. We've done the Candace stuff to death already. But she says, I was treated so well. We were going to invite him to dinner. He had no answer on Dave Smith. Suffice to say, I think that's a misrepresentation of how that went, of the entire thing. I've already been over that many times. The consensus from, I think, nearly everybody that watched, including people that are mutual friends, people that are friends with Candace and me, people like Myron Gaines, people like Dan Bilzerian, other people that I don't want to name on the show. The consensus was that she was very rude to me. It was very combative. It was effectively a setup where she aired out personal slights and misrepresented what it was going to be from the outset, which was supposed to be maybe a fair or friendly conversation, but turned out to be more of a hit job behind a paywall. We can kind of leave that aside for our purposes tonight. We won't really relitigate that on this show. Another thing that was mentioned, which I think is really important, very briefly, is Tucker Carlson said that he did not know his dad was in the CIA until his father passed this year in March. And I just want to say very briefly, that is a very, very important thing that he said. Because if he's lying about that, in my opinion, it calls into question in a very serious way whether he is a sincere or honest person, in particular about his relationship or his family's relationship with the CIA. And spoiler alert, that is a lie. It's a very strange, bald-faced lie. You just watched him in his own show, and he said specifically, I did not know my father was in the CIA until he died, which was in March 2025. He said, and I was, quote, shocked to learn this. Well, we have the clip. In June 2024, he was on Sean Ryan's show, and he said, my father is in the CIA, when his father was very much alive. In addition, he gave details about it. He said that he lived down the street growing up from the CIA officer who was involved in the overthrow of Iran's government led by Mossadegh in the 1950s. So this raises some serious questions. Why would you lie about that? It's on record that you lied about it. And in particular, why would you lie in such a way? He said he was shocked to know that. But as we're going to work through the material, it's very clear there was no surprise. Not only did Tucker Carlson know that his father was in the CIA, he had to intimately know. Because Dick Carlson, his father, was very involved in the CIA. It's not peripheral. It wasn't a footnote. His father was a CIA man and played a crucial role at the CIA. I will read you quotes from testimony that he gave, recorded by C-SPAN in the 1990s, where he talks about how instrumental Dick Carlson was, his father was, in the overthrow of Soviet Union governments, or governments backed by the Soviet Union, of Tiananmen Square in China, his relationship with neocon nonprofits after he left Voice of America and the other organizations he was a part of. So for Tucker to say not only did he not know, but he was shocked, that does not pass a smell test at all. That is a brazen lie, a strange and weird lie that he compounded by saying, not only did I not know, I was surprised. Well, that is absolutely not the case. And for him to misrepresent his knowledge, what he knew, when he knew it, in such a provably false way is very strange to me. And I think it calls into question his credibility on that subject, but we'll go through that. Now, those, in my opinion, are more minor things. In broad strokes, the big argument that I want to focus on tonight, he said that what I represent is a campaign. He said I'm an inorganic actor as part of a bad faith campaign to sabotage what he said are, quote, the non-crazy, non-hateful, credible voices against the neocons in politics. He said, that's my mission. Now, in his own words, he says he doesn't watch my show, he doesn't know me, he doesn't spend a lot of time watching me. He said the only time he saw me was when I was attacking his father. But yet he is sure, and he says it is obvious, in spite of his ignorance, that that is what I am. His only proof for the claim is that, in his words, I exclusively attack those kinds of people. The non-crazy, non-hateful, credible anti-neocon voices who he listed. And the names he gave were these. He said J.D. Vance, Joe Kent, and himself. Candace Owens chimed in and said, Dave Smith, we will analyze each of those people. And we will evaluate tonight what is this artificial distinction being created between non-crazies and crazies, non-haters and haters, anti-neocon voices and whatever I am. We're going to break that down. And if Joe Kent is your champion, well, we'll look at Joe Kent and we'll look at his views. Tucker characterized my attacks on Joe Kent and J.D. Vance as random. Candace Owens agreed. She said it is random. Tucker said, no, it's not random. Joe Kent was enemy number one, public enemy number one of the neocons. So Candace says it's random. Tucker says it's conspicuous, but it was targeted. We'll talk about my history with Joe Kent. So we're going to dive in. Enough introduction. We'll break this down. First, I want to talk about Joe Kent. And we'll talk about him in particular because that was really the centerpiece of the story. And that is the center of my relationship with Tucker Carlson. And I'm going to tell the story in full. We're going to go back to the very beginning. So for many years, and as I said, I have never talked to Tucker Carlson. I don't know him. But he is a broadcaster. I am a broadcaster. When I got started, when I was a teenager doing my show, I had very mixed feelings about Tucker Carlson. He said a lot of things that I agreed with, but I was skeptical of him because he was at Fox News. Fox News is controlled by Rupert Murdoch, who is one of the arch neocons. Rupert Murdoch owns News Corp, which is the parent company of the New York Post, Wall Street Journal, Fox News. And these media outlets are the mouthpiece of the Chamber of Commerce of the State of Israel. Rupert Murdoch donated to Bibi Netanyahu's election campaign in Israel. Netanyahu visits him when he goes to London and stays at Rupert Murdoch's flat. Murdoch received military hardware in the 1980s, satellite dishes and other things, years before he started Fox News. So Rupert Murdoch is a creature of the Israel lobby, of the business interests, of the Reagan administration, and the neocons therein. Suffice to say, that is enough about Rupert Murdoch for our purposes tonight. But I don't trust that Tucker Carlson was who he said he was purely because he was at Fox News. What's more, and we'll talk a little bit about this tonight as well, for many years, Tucker Carlson was known as a silly guy who wore a bow tie, who was defeated by Jon Stewart in a debate, who sat on the couch on Fox and Friends. He was hardly a populist, hardly a Trump supporter, a nationalist, for almost his entire career up to that point. For decades, he was an unrepentant elitist, a neocon, a defender of the CIA, a defender of the Iraq War. And when he got the primetime slot on Fox News, suddenly he had a total change of heart, apparently, and became a full-throated, intense, articulate spokesperson of a Trump populist doctrine. So for many reasons, I was skeptical of what he represented. But for many years, I was very supportive of him because I did not have a very developed understanding of how politics worked. And although he was at Fox, I agreed with so much of what he said. My feelings towards him were generally positive. The only time that I was ever negative towards Tucker Carlson was in 2020. After the presidential election in 2020, which I believed was rigged, I went to many of the Stop the Steal protests at the state capitals in Lansing, Michigan, in Atlanta, Georgia, in Washington, D.C., in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, in Phoenix, Arizona. And I gave dozens of speeches on a megaphone in front of state capitals and governor's mansions and in the middle of the city. And at that time, when many patriots assembled during that Stop the Steal period between the election and the inauguration of Joe Biden, we were out there calling attention to what was voter fraud, either the rigged voting machines, the use of mail-in ballots, the role that the media played in suppressing the Hunter Biden laptop. And Tucker Carlson would not cover any of it, was not pressuring any of the Republicans to defend Trump, was not bringing on any of the evidence of the voter fraud. I was intensely critical of Tucker in that moment, and that was really my only interaction with him that was negative at that point, was me criticizing him at these events. But months later, Tucker attacked the ADL on his show. I said maybe he's hiding his power level, maybe he's based. Let's get to the good part. Enter my relationship with Joe Kent. After the 2020 election, I was furious because at that time, I believed, and I still do believe, that Donald Trump was cheated out of that election. And I was furious that we let it happen because we knew it was coming. I did a show with Alex Jones in June, I believe, of 2020. And I said that there would be a red mirage, that they would count up the votes on election day. It would appear that Trump was winning. And then once they started counting the mail-in ballots, of which there would be many because of the pandemic, over time, Joe Biden would take the lead and would be declared the president, and they would steal the election from Trump. I was furious, not only that the election was stolen, when we knew precisely how it would happen, the manner in which it would happen. But in particular, I was furious at the Republicans because they abandoned Trump. Trump's legal counsel in the White House abandoned him. They made no legal case that the election was stolen. They gave up. The Republicans in the House and the Senate mounted no serious effort to stop the steal of the election. Neither did the Republicans in the state capitals. Out of the 6 or 7 swing states, Republicans controlled almost all of the governorships and state capitals there. And they did not lift a finger to audit the ballots, to claw back the electors, to do anything. And what was even more infuriating, if you remember, is that there were 2 Senate runoff elections in Georgia where the elections were too close to call or something like that. I don't remember the specifics. And at the same time that Republicans in the White House, Republicans in the state capitals, Republicans in D.C., at the same time that they effectively sold him out and then even eventually made a deal with the Democrats to hang impeachment over his head after January 6th to make sure that he left quietly. At the same time that they were abandoning Trump, they were demanding that everybody turn out and vote for Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue, who in my view were extremely corrupt and represented the epitome of the Republican establishment. This is all important context. I'm telling you this for a reason. 2020 shaped everything that I've said in the last 5 years, as it should have. Because if the elections are being stolen, and if the Republican establishment is complicit in that process, we got a big problem. So during that time, this is the first time I ever said, don't vote. I said, we should not go to Georgia and try and rally the base or rally the Republicans to vote for Loeffler and Perdue, 2 corrupt establishment Republicans, to give Mitch McConnell the Senate leader position after they just betrayed Trump. If you want your Senate majority, then you got to fight for Trump. And if you're not willing to do that, then we shouldn't go out and vote. Now, at that time, I had a major dispute with a Republican operative named Ryan Gerdusky. Ryan Gerdusky was one of the big politicos who is close to Ann Coulter, in bed with the establishment, who was telling everybody they have to make it their mission to get down to Georgia and rally the troops and get Loeffler and Perdue into the Senate to hold the line and keep our majority. I had a major falling out with him over this. Now, in response to what happened in the all-important 2020 election, again, Tucker did nothing for us during that time. In fact, he was attacking the people that were trying to litigate it on Trump's behalf. After Ryan Gerdusky said, Trump is over, we got to go to Georgia and help Loeffler and Perdue. After I was telling people, stay home, don't vote for these rhinos, I had this idea in 2021. And my idea in 2021 was America First candidates. I said, you know what? We can't count on the Republicans. They betrayed Trump. The Republicans in the House and the Senate, although they made gestures towards trying to stop the steal, like some of the lawsuits and some of the machinations they plan to do on J6, there was never a serious attempt to keep Trump in office other than from Garrett Ziegler under Peter Navarro. I said, in response to this, we need real America First guys that can back Trump up. So I was building up my nonprofit, G5. America First Foundation. I was building up my political infrastructure. We were trying to enter politics. In February 2021, Representative Paul Gosar from Arizona spoke at my conference. So we were trying to increase our presence in the Capitol. I called up Ryan Gerdusky, my friend. I called up a bunch of people that I was close to. And I said, who is good? Who is solidly America First? Who is a Trump ally that is worthy of my support and the support of the Groypers in the midterms in 2022? Because I would like to support them. I'd like to fundraise for them. I would like to get the Groypers on social media and on the ground to get them elected. I talked to somebody from the administration, not Ryan Gerdusky, and I'm not going to say who, but somebody passed me a list. And they said, these are the guys that have Trump's back. And some of the names were Joe Kent, who is running in Washington State. J.D. Vance, who is running for Senate in Ohio. Blake Masters, running for Senate in Arizona. Patrick Witt, who is running for Congress in Georgia. Gibbs, who is running for Congress in Michigan. And there were a number of other names too, but those are the ones that I remember. And those are the ones that I have in my notes from many, many years ago. Now, I got in touch with Joe Kent in 2021. We'll focus on him. I got in touch with Joe Kent through his campaign consultant, Matt Brainerd. Matt Brainerd was an exhibitor at my conference at AFPAC 2 in February 2021. This is a month after the events of January 6th and the Senate runoff. So I knew Matt Brainerd. I had a relationship with him. I was introduced to him by Michelle Malkin. She was friends with him. He was very involved in Stop the Steal, as was she. Matt Brainerd put me in touch with Joe Kent. I had a phone call with Joe Kent, I believe in the summer of 2021. And the phone call went like this. I called up Joe Kent, which, by the way, he does not deny, and I have text messages with him. I said, listen up, Joe.
I think I go here in this,
we want to support you in this election. I said, we want to help you build up your social media. We want to retweet your profile. We want the Groypers to support you. We want a door knock for you. We want to fundraise for you. I said, but here's the caveat. I said, and you can take this or leave it. I said, but we want to help you. We believe you're America First. We want to get you into office. I was very pro Joe Kent. I said, but here's the deal. You can't disavow me. I said, now, if you want our support, it's contingent on that. I said, because although I'd like to keep this discreet, and we don't have to tell everybody that we're helping you, I said, but if the day ever comes that the left asks you about me for any reason, I said, you cannot disavow. I said, because if we start disavowing each other, this is how the right eats itself, and this is how the left wins. I said, today you're disavowing me, tomorrow somebody's disavowing you. What's more, I said, I don't want to help people. I barely have an operation. I don't want to use what little I have to help somebody if they're going to turn around and throw me under the bus. Because that's exactly what happened with Paul Gosar during AFPAC 2. He attended my conference, and then he disavowed me, pretended like he didn't know me the next day. And there were other events too, but that was the big one. So I told Joe,
Okay,
I said, here's the deal.
I got
You
time
cannot
here,
disavow.
so
We'll support you. And Joe
I
Kent said,
think
not
if
a
I
problem. He said,
go,
and you know what? They call you a
I got
racist.
time here.
He
If I
said, the
go
Democrats are the real
G4,
racist. And I said, yeah, that's great,
or no,
Joe.
if
But,
I
I mean,
go
that's really the deal.
G5.
And so it was. Joe Kent actually spoke out in favor of me. When I was put on the no-fly list in May 2021, he put out a tweet defending my rights. When I was banned on Twitter,
Or maybe
I believe
I
he said
should
something
go
also. So we had a working relationship. We had talked on the phone. I was fully behind him.
here.
We were supporting his social media. We had planned to go to Washington State to campaign for him. And he did defend me on social media
I'll go
as
there.
well.
That should be mate.
Fast forward to February 2022. I did my third AFPAC, my third conference. Marjorie Taylor Greene spoke there. Paul Gosar spoke there. The Lieutenant Governor of Idaho spoke there. It was a pretty big deal. We had 1,200 people. It got a lot of negative media attention because of things I said about Russia, comments I made about Hitler, other things. Now, Joe Kent did not attend AFPAC 3.
That's might, buddy.
He had no relation to AFPAC
GG's
3.
chat. I'm gonna end on that.
But
Close
he was
to fucking
accused by
400.
somebody who was in
Goddamn.
the race in his district of having a relationship with me. Someone who was in 4th place put out a tweet. It got about 15 likes on